Good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Raving Fans from Within here at Velosio. I'm thrilled that we have Jeff Smith joining us here. So let's get things started. Jeff, why don't you take a few minutes? Tell us a little bit about yourself. What you do outside of work, maybe family, hobbies, passions, those types of things.
Great. Well, Chad, thanks for having me, first of all. And so a little bit about me. First of all, I've been at Velosio for about 32 years. So I've seen a few changes over time. But outside of Velosio and work, I am a father of three grown children, all out of the house. And I am a grandfather of two. So, which is just a wonderful piece of life. All I can say is they're beautiful little girls. And so over the years, I have been a soccer dad. My kids all played soccer. We traveled all over the Midwest going to soccer games and soccer tournaments. And after 23 years of doing that, because my kids are a little spread out, I thought I'd miss it. And I realized that, nah, I'm good. And so my kids have made great friends playing soccer and being in sports and things like that, which has been a wonderful experience. But we have moved past soccer for now, other than just being soccer fans, watching television and cheering for our teams. So I even though I have three kids, I would never guess that they could be so different in regards to what they do for a living. So my oldest, my daughter, has been involved in the art world over the years. She has worked at an art gallery. She's done marketing for another art gallery, and it is her passion. She loves it. And then my middle child is a pharmacist. So who would have guessed you could have an artist and a pharmacist in the same family? But I do. And he's made me very proud. He works at the Ohio State University James Hospital, and is just way smarter than his dad. So, which is fabulous. My youngest is actually works for a political research group in Washington, D.C. So again, very distinctive from the other two.
That's right. Wow.
So it makes me, at first I was like, what happened? And then I thought, well, I'm very proud because they've picked their passion and they're all happy and independent and doing their thing. So that's been a great part of just seeing them grow up and do what makes them happy. What I do is while I still am working at Velosio and putting in a full day, I have a passion that used to be for running. So in my past, I ran in high school. I ran well past high school. I ran 2 marathons here in Columbus.
Oh, wow.
But as I aged and had a problem with my hip, I now am a walker. I walk probably 5 to 7 miles every morning.
Oh.
And so try to stay in shape. And it's a very relaxing thing to do before you get started with your day. So I'm very fortunate about that. I have a lovely wife, Angie, who was a stay-at-home mom with our kids, and probably the reason they've all been successful. And so she and I now travel some. We like to go south to Florida and North Carolina, 2 places that we spend a lot of time, and just enjoy going out and enjoying each other's company.
I love that. I love that. Love everything about that. And Jeff, I haven't told you before, you have a wonderful smile and you smile a lot. So it's always a pleasure being able to talk with you. So soccer. So do they get that competitive spirit from their dad, or do they get it from mom, Angie?
Well, I'd say our competitiveness is different, but probably both of us.
Okay.
So when I was a cross-country runner, I ran from the time I was like in 7th grade all the way through high school and actually my freshman year in college. And I was competitive. Then I was I ran a lot of 5-mile and 10K runs and things like that. And I was always pretty good. I enjoyed it. It was something, and I got to a point at certain points in my life where if I didn't run, I didn't feel good about it.
Sure.
So I'm kind of like that with walking now, which I'm glad. So But my wife is competitive more from the intellectual perspective. And
Okay.
so she was the one that always challenged them to do their best. And so I think we've both contributed to their success, but I think it's a little bit of both.
I love that. I love that. And then the granddaughters, are they going to be soccer players as well?
Well, I don't think so, actually. So my granddaughters are 5 and 2. The 5-year-old played soccer for a year or two uh, as a little soccer player, right? Which is so cute with the little Nike shoes on and everything. But she decided that she likes dance and gymnastics better. And so she is very competitive when it comes to that. And so the younger one is 2, and Elise is more of whatever her sister does, she likes to do as well. And so it's very fun to watch. It'll be interesting to see how she evolves and what she gets into here in the near term.
I love that. I have 2 boys that are grown adults as well. And our youngest son was always aspiring to do what the oldest son did. So
Yes.
from a sports perspective, a social group, everything, it was really, really, really neat. So I know exactly what you're saying. So Jeff, a lot of people don't know this, but Velosio's been around for 35 years now, and you've been around for 32 of those 35 years. I'd love for you to just tell us a little bit about that journey and what that's been like.
Well, Chad, as you know, it's been a series of acquisitions and a few mergers and some things like that. So when I started, I worked as a employee number 4 for a firm called PS Custom Computer Applications, which then got swallowed up and moved along through the process. So when you're employee number 4, you're really kind of a jack of all trades. And you don't have a lot of resources to go get to say, hey, I don't know how to do this. Can you help me? Which was good for us, I think. It allowed us to hone our skills. At that time, I was a Dynamics GP, or actually a Great Plains accounting guy, which I remember those days fondly. And just over time, we were acquired by an accounting firm called Hauser and Taylor. So we went from a very small organization to an organization that probably had 300 or 400 people. So a little bit of a different feel, a little more what I would call a little bit more formal, because the accounting firm Hauser and Taylor was not just this little technology practice, but also a group of CPAs that were doing all kinds of tax and audit work and so forth. So the most interesting distinction was when Hauser and Taylor got acquired by a group out of American Express called Tax and Business Services. So I had gone from being employee number 4 to being one of 300 to being one of 90,000. And so what a change, right? And so the interesting part of that was that all of a sudden we were this little flea on the back of a dog, right? We were just this tiny, almost inconsequential piece. So, the allocation of technology and so forth was stand in line more than it was anything else. And so it was a little bit of a different experience. So then after about 4 years of that, and I remember us going in thinking, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread, because everybody knows who American Express is. And it did bring success, but it was almost just as comfortable when we spun back out to become a company of 25. Because at that point then, we were more focused on one particular end in mind, right? And so, but since then, we've just gradually grew. We acquired a couple firms along the way and got to about 150, 160 employees. And so again, I've been really small, I've been medium sized, and I've been really large. I think the biggest and most monumental activity that happened was at the beginning of 2018 when Velosio, in true name, was formed. And at that point, the 2 firms were almost equal size, about 150, 160 employees. and we joined together, became a company of 300, but with a single focus. And so at that point, along with the technology that was growing so rapidly at the time, it's been an amazing story since then. With the advent of BI and AI and all those kind of things, and it infiltrating into every little bit of everything that we do, it's become very interesting and very challenging, but yet very fun. There's never a day where I don't learn something new, and so that's very positive.
Yeah, that's part of being in this industry. Fast paced, always changing. You got to really be growth minded to do well here, right? So look at it doesn't matter if you're working 50 years ago, 30 years ago, today, or 30 years in the future. You need to have a lens on how you help serve our clients. Has that changed much over the years on how you are best serving our clients?
It's interesting because one of the things I was thinking about is what's one of the biggest joys I get from my job. And I think one of those things is when you're talking to a prospective client or a client and they have an issue or a question and you're able to talk them through it. And then the light bulb comes on, the proverbial light bulb that, we always talk about. And the satisfaction that comes from that is part of the reason that I've probably been here so long. That, and as you can probably tell, I like to talk and interact with people. And so I've really enjoyed that. And I've learned the more you listen, the more you learn, and the more you learn, the better service you can provide to your clients and prospects. So that's been really very, very gratifying.
Yeah. Absolutely. That really is keeping the client centric to everything that you do. I'm curious, do you think it's more difficult today in making technology decisions for our clients with all of the different options and the velocity in which the industry is moving? Or was it more difficult 30 years ago for clients when they were fewer options? It felt fast then, but it was relatively slow as it relates to today. But you didn't have the same maturity on your digital journey 30 years ago that you do today. From a client's perspective, is it more difficult now than ever, or is it actually easier today with all of the experience that organizations have?
Well, that is a very interesting question and a very good question. I will tell you that at times, I think it's more difficult now, but it really isn't. I think the thing that is really important to be successful today is you got to be more collaborative with your team.
Sure.
Because it's really easy for Jeff Smith to know how to enter a journal entry or to help a client pay their bills or invoice their customers. But then to be able to mix the technology and the data requirements and so forth that an organization needs today. And I would say the other thing is expects today, because I think what makes it a little bit more difficult today is that the expectations are higher. People are more educated. They're not investing in a software solution today as their first rodeo. They've done it several times, and the expectations and the technology really require us to be more of a team, which I think is actually great. Because then we can really all collaborate and work together and provide a far greater reaching solution for them. So it's not just accounting software. It's not just distribution. It's how do you take that data that comes from what you're doing and turn it into faster decisions, more information, and so forth, and become more efficient and productive.
Yeah, I've seen that in my own career. I've been in the industry for over 3 decades now as well. Not all at Velosio or previous companies of Velosio, but it used to be you'd go and engage with a prospect or a client, and you had literally one person that was making the ultimate decision. And what you could do is you could really focus in on how best to serve that person. This collaboration and this teaming that you're talking about now is really it's a wonderful thing. but it does make our jobs a little bit more difficult. And now we're trying to connect multiple dots, right? We're trying to be able to understand use cases, business outcomes, decision criteria from different people with different backgrounds, from different functional towers of an organization. And I know that our job becomes a lot more complex as we're helping people stitch these things together to ultimately be able to drive the biggest outcomes possible. You and I have seen technology go through a lot of ebbs and flows. I personally think this is one of the most exciting times in technology. I remember back in the day, my very first job in the industry was working at a Microsoft software reseller, where if a large company needed 300 copies of Word 95, it was literally 300 copies of Word 95. And then it quickly went to, hey, here's a master disk. And, people are going to go home for the night and you're going to go from desktop to desktop to desktop, putting that configuration, stack inside that, inside each one of those machines. And then you got to client server where you start pushing things down, and then cloud. Oh my goodness, cloud was really exciting. And that really, started to, we were talking about cloud and cloud concepts, in 99 and 2000, but really cloud didn't, enter the enterprise in a very real way until the financial crisis in 2008, 2009. And then from 2010 to 2018, just really, really accelerated. Yeah. And now we have AI, and in the promise of AI enabling people to be able to, have, better work-life balance, be able to produce more, have higher quality, and do that at scale. AI being a empowering technology for people to deliver their best is really, really exciting. When you look at the industry, what are some of the things that you're most excited about right now?
Well, so, it's interesting what you just said, Chad, because, everything has been an evolution, and it's been fabulous, really. Yeah. But, one of the challenges along the way is people's fear. So when we went from server-based solutions to cloud-based solutions, many people didn't trust the cloud.
That's right.
And I think we still face, and it's really a good challenge for us, because if when we get people to understand that this isn't a bad thing, it's a good thing. And if we're able to, again, turn their light bulb on and show them how AI and cloud can combine to provide them with such great results, it's fabulous. I mean, it's fabulous, but it takes some time to get there, and everybody is on their own level of ability to change.
That's right.
So I think it's fun to be able to show them and convince them sometimes. Other people are way on board. In fact, they're the bleeding edge, which is great. But some of these folks, being able to get them to move along with you, it's great. And then they'll come back to you time and time again, and they'll thank you for being persistent with them. You know what I mean? So
I know exactly. I mean, look, the thing I love most about Velosio is the people. I literally love the people of Velosio. Just such wonderful folks that we get the opportunity to partner with every single day. The next thing that I think that I love most about Velosio is we have capabilities across the entire tech stack. Mm-hmm. And our ability, no matter where a client is in their digital journey, we don't have to force them one way or another. We can let that happen very organically, and we can move as quick as that organization is willing or has the appetite to move, or we can do it as methodically as they want us to do, because we have capabilities across the entire platform that we're able to go on this journey no matter where their starting point is. Jeff, I guess I'll end here. Those are a couple of things I love most about Velosio. What's one or two things that you love most about Velosio?
Well, I'm kind of like you, and I love the people. Yeah. My particular team, we're all complementary to one another, and I don't mean that we tell them how great they are, but we all have a little bit of a different slant, a little different personal touch to what we do, and the fact that I also get to interact most of the time with the sales team. That's where I spend most of my time. It's really gratifying, and it's very interesting to see how they all have a little bit of a different slant on how they approach the interaction with the client or the prospect. But we're all kind of rowing in the same direction, and so that's my favorite. People are my favorite part. I mean, in anything we do, people's my favorite part. And I always think about a book I read years and years ago. It's like Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. And there is the think win-win. And, that is I think we're all doing that. We're trying to think win-win to get our clients and prospects across the finish line where they need to go.
Yeah, I love that. Absolutely love that. And that's one of the greatest business books of all time. So, Chet, I really appreciate you. I really appreciate you. This pre-sales organization is absolutely fantastic, and it's incredible because of people just like you. And I couldn't agree with you more. That really has a diverse group of sales engineers in that organization that have a sharpened focus on driving outcomes for our clients. So I appreciate all that you do, and I appreciate you taking time out to visit with us this afternoon.